Well, hello, what a crowd. I'm obviously not Administrator Fugate. We swapped. He's going to be here tomorrow, but I'm not sure I really knew what I was signing up for. This is a great opportunity. I'm really glad to be here. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and I hope during this week I'll get to know many of you. Many of you I already know, and actually I'm going to try to use this opportunity to maybe you'll get to know me a little as well. In about 2 weeks, I'll be coming up on my 30-year anniversary with the federal government. I worked almost 27 years for the Corps of Engineers and then 3 years with NOAA. And I've only been here a little over 4.5 months. But I can tell you my federal service has been a real challenge. It's been fun. I've had some awesome opportunities. But I can say, hands down, this is the best job I've ever had. It really is. And I just have to tell you that a lot has been coming at me in the last 4.5 months. So if you've introduced yourself to me before, please do it again. And I'm so thankful everybody has these great big name tags on. That's really helping me. But I'll tell you, I have to turn on a couple of alter egos at work just so I can manage my week because it comes so fast. And so I'll kind of share with you those. Sometimes I turn into Super Sandra. You know, I spin behind my desk. You know, there's no telephone booths anymore. And I jump out and I'm actually, you know, leaping tall buildings with a single bound and faster than a speeding bullet, you know, slaying evildoers, you know, the usual stuff, right? And then the next thing that happens is I go down the hall to a meeting and I walk in and I'm walking into some big old mess, okay? And so no fault of ours, but it's just the way things happen. That's what FEMA does, you're cleaning up. And I turn on my alter ego, the wolf from Pulp Fiction, if you saw that, if you remember Harvey Keitel. If you saw it, you get it. But then finally, there's sometimes I couldn't make up how fast things are coming at me, and that's when I turn into Lucy. And this is really old syndicated shows, but if any of y'all remember the episode on I Love Lucy where she and Ethel take this job at a candy factory. Oh, you have seen it, okay. The syndicated shows are working well. And you know, the conveyor belt, they're doing fine. Her and Ethel are doing fine. They're boxing up the chocolates, right? And then the conveyor belt gets busier and busier, and they're stuffing them in their pockets. And the next thing you know, Lucy's just cramming chocolates in her mouth, right? Well, that's what I have to think about when things get overwhelming. I just kind of laugh and think about Lucy. And so anyway, I really want to tell you why I love this job. It's really 3 things. One, it's the people. First of all, FEMA people are just incredible. Everywhere I go, they are so dedicated, they're so passionate, and they're so friendly. Everybody's been so nice to me. I really appreciate that. And then I have the A-team at the headquarters and at the region. So I have a great staff. Thank you, Mike Buckley, for setting me up in this job. I mean, you left me a good team. And as Greg already mentioned, I have an incredible portfolio. What's not fun about all the stuff he listed, you know? It certainly keeps me on my toes. So I love the FEMA people and my people and the portfolio. But the third thing I love is the people, and that's all of you and all of the stakeholders I continue to meet, because you have the same passion for the program. You have the same dedication and passion. You've been involved in these things for so many years, and so I hope to learn a lot from you. Next. Oh, I have the clicker, don't I? Is it this one? I have the power. I didn't realize that. So with that booming intro they had and these bright lights, I think we should take some time and thank everybody for organizing this. I'm sitting at this great table with a lot of the leadership from ASFPM. In addition to everybody that's been mentioned before, I'd also like to point out the Oklahoma Floodplain Managers Association, our host this week, and thank Ellen Stevens for that. And also the hard staff that's worked on all this. Bill Smith, the local team coordinator, Steve McMaster, the program coordinator, Dan Curdy, the exhibits coordinator, and Chad Ross, Diane Brown, George Riedel, and of course Larry. And I won't make you yeehaw like Chad did this morning, but maybe we'll save that for the Cowboy Museum. So what makes a community great? I wanted to stick to this theme of building blocks, but you've got to know what you're building. And so you are the floodplain managers and you are the visionaries about what that looks like. I was reading on the plane yesterday about our own community rating system and how they've come up with a list of the ideal community. Well, I like to read these magazines about, what's the 10 best places to live, Of course, it depends on what magazine you're reading. If you're reading Outdoor magazine, it's a little bit different from AARP, right? So I can even think of that from my own perspective. I lived in Vicksburg, Mississippi for many years, and my son was born there and raised there, and it was a great community, and it had the values that I was looking for. It was a family-oriented. The cost of living was cheap. It was easy to get around. It was just a great community. But now that I'm an empty nester and I live in Washington, D.C., it's a great community, and it would be in my top 10 list. I love that it's got public transportation, great places to eat, just all the things that are going on there, and are also good medical facilities. And as I age, that's kind of a good thing. So really the values of what makes a great community are set by the people that read those magazines and what they do. Money Magazine's top 10 list last year put Louisville, Colorado on the top, and it ranked it among the top because of a strong economy, great outdoors, low crime, good health, low taxes. All sounds pretty good. Some others that made the list actually talked about low unemployment, property taxes dropping, or maybe some investments in infrastructure in the city, or a new baseball stadium even. So, what magazine are you reading? What's your best list? Best places for a job? Best places for singles? Here's one, best places for hair. I don't know what kind of city that is. But what does your best city look like, and what magazine are you reading? I think, you'll take a minute to absorb that. I think my communication team thought I should join Oprah and Martha Stewart in having my own magazine. So look forward to having my mug on the front cover every month, and they will need to work on the airbrush and stuff, okay, guys? But seriously, I think to set this vision, you've got to think about the different lenses that you look through. And I've kind of just picked 3 overarching ones, and they'll circle back to some things that we've all been talking about in floodplain management. But we've got to look at it from an economic lens, from an environmental lens, and from a safety and resiliency lens. So what makes a community prosperous? And I want you to think about, as we're talking these things, don't think just about cities. Now put on your floodplain manager hat and think about the watershed, and think how you can transpose these values to the watershed. So for me, this is my list, okay? You may pick some of these, maybe you don't. But, I think a sound economy is important. And that doesn't mean everybody's rich in the community. It means maybe that the businesses are stable, that there's a diversity of businesses, maybe taxes are low or manageable. Social equity, does the community uphold values for everyone from all socioeconomic backgrounds? The third one, infrastructure. I can't come up here and not open my cards that I'm an engineer. So I really look to see that, is the infrastructure going to be safe and resilient? We're talking about sustainable and resilient communities, and one only needs to look right now how completely dependent we are in the U.S. on the built infrastructure. And I tell you, it's frightening to me. And my friends at the Corps here, Ed, up at this table, we spend a lot of time talking about failing infrastructure. But between failing infrastructure, the water demands that we're going to be having, and the energy demands, I think we're really facing some real national crisis. So I think as we move forward with our vision, we've got to think about how we're going to sustain our infrastructure.